In a fortnight's time, we'll know who's to become the next leader of the Conservative Party and thus the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak head to Birmingham today as they aim to put the manifestos to Tory members in the Midlands. So what are the latest polls saying? Well, in the studio, political commentator and former president of YouGov, Peter Kellner. It's great to see you as always.
Morning, Kay.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Let's talk about the big lead for Labour to start with.
We had a YouGov poll at the weekend which showed a Labour lead of 15 percentage points over the Conservatives. The biggest for nearly 10 years. If that were the election result, Labour would not just win, they would have a fairly comfortable overall majority. But whenever I see a single poll showing a sudden change, I say, is this real or is it a sampling fluke? Well, we've had two more polls since that YouGov poll, Opinium in Sunday's Observer and Redfield and Wilton out this morning. They disagree on the raw figures, but they agree absolutely that Labour's leaders shot up by 5 or 6 points in the last week or two. So in three polls by different companies, slightly different methods, all agree on the direction of travel. I think we can take it as real. OK,
so this YouGov poll at the weekend gave Labour 43 points, the Conservatives down on 28 and the Lib Dems 11.
Yeah, and remember, at the last general election, the Conservatives were on 45% across Britain. So they're now down 17 points. They've lost a third of their support. They are in, I think, very, very deep trouble. I think when we talked some weeks ago, I think I predicted that there would be a honeymoon for the new Tory Prime Minister. I'm not quite so sure that'll happen. The Conservative leadership campaign, I think, has done the party quite a lot of harm, and that's part of what we're seeing here.
I had a Rishi Sunak supporter on the programme just a few moments ago, and he was saying it isn't all over. He's still in the running, is he?
No.
That's what I thought.
But he would say that, wouldn't he?
Exactly, that's what I thought. Talk to me about Labour's proposal for freezing energy bills. How's that looking?
Well, here, you've got something quite remarkable happening. You've got Labour's policy of freezing bills. YouGov tested this amongst the general public last week and found overwhelming support for it, with 69% saying it's a good idea, just 13% saying it's a bad idea. Now, you do occasionally get that sort of division, but I can't remember the last time on a big controversial policy where leading members of one political party are on one side and the other party on the other side. I don't remember a figure that one-sided, and I'm sure that's part of the reason why Labour's lead has been going up.
Yeah, I mean, that proposition by Labour means that everybody will benefit. It's not just the worse off. So yeah, it's interesting.
You can make a lot of comments or criticisms about it, whether it'll survive beyond 6 months.
It's not a criticism.
But that's right. But for the moment, it has clearly caught the public's imagination, and even Conservative supporters overwhelmingly think it's a good idea. If I were Liz Truss, I'd be quite worried that unless she can trump that with a policy that has even greater appeal, she will look as if she's lagging behind Labour on catching the public
Well,
mood.
we had a Liz Truss supporter on the programme earlier on this morning, and it didn't look as though that they were going to adopt that, certainly for now. But who knows? She's been known to U-turn before. Who would you vote for as Tory leader was a question that was asked as well.
That's right. Well, the ghost of Boris Johnson has been hanging over this contest. So when YouGov last week polled Tory party members... Specifically Tory party members. Supposing Boris Johnson were in the race along with Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak, who would you vote for? And if you look at the figures, you see that Boris Johnson comes out miles ahead, 46% for Boris Johnson. You see 46%.
That's what seller's remorse looks like.
It does. And there are signs from other polls that both amongst party members and perhaps now more importantly as we move forward amongst the general public, Liz Truss, some of the shine is coming off Liz Truss's reputation. Opinion poll on Sunday showed amongst the public a couple of weeks ago, Liz Truss outranked Keir Starmer as best Prime Minister. Now Keir Starmer has moved into the lead over her. That's why I'm not quite so sure she'll get a honeymoon period. Of course, in the long run, how she performs as Prime Minister will determine it, not the reputation after the first few weeks. But she's entering some trickier waters than I think we all expected a month or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, 18% inflation by January, potentially. Wider public, where does Boris Johnson sit there?
Well, now, here's the thing, that when you When you ask the standard question, do you approve or disapprove of Boris Johnson as Prime Minister? This was an Opinion survey over the weekend. Boris Johnson's ratings are pretty terrible. Just a quarter of the public think he's approve of his role as Prime Minister. Well over half disapprove. And here's the thing. We saw that the Conservative support is down to 30%, give or take a point or two. Yeah. They've got to get back up to well over 40 to win the next election. A lot of the people who've deserted the Conservatives are people who feel let down by Boris Johnson's personality and performance and policies over the last couple of years. So if Liz Truss is appealing to the Conservative activists, she'll talk up Boris Johnson, say how much of a fan she is of his, because party members love him. But if she's trying to win back those lost voters, 3-4 million lost voters, they're not people who like Boris Johnson. So if she goes all pro-Johnson as Prime Minister, I think it'll make it harder for her to win back those 3 or 4 million votes she needs.
Always great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Thank you.